Okay, I think I'm ready to do this review now. Here's the review of Raimiman 2. In the last review, I said I don't like this movie. Even goes so far as to say I despise it with every fiber of my being. I can't even tell tell all the things that I hate about this movie. I even consider that this movie is worse than Raimi Man 3. Yes, I said that, and I will explain that when I get into my Raimi Man 3 review. But, to be fair, I will. It did have a few good qualities. As a film in general, it did have better pacing than the first movie, and better cinematography, and it did have a nice balance between practical effects and CGI. But the movie still falls flat from a adaptation standpoint and from a storytelling standpoint, and which ultimately leads it to failing as a film in general. And yet, everyone likes this movie, claiming that it's the best Spider-Man movie of all time, including the factoring of the Amazing Spider-Man and the now released Amazing Spider-Man 2. Well, at the risk of my sanity and my blood pressure, let's analyze it and maybe I can see why people like this movie. Let's start off with the story. So we start off with our hero, Raimiman, struggling to balance his life in terms of doing his job. He gets fired from being a delivery boy and almost gets fired from the Daily Bugle. He's trying to balance his time with his loved ones. Can't make it to Mary Sue's plays because he's Raimiman, and he hasn't told her to protect her. And I'll get back to why that's stupid, and not just for Raimiman, but just in general. And Harry thinks Raimiman killed his father, Norman Osborn, aka the Green Power Ranger knockoff, even though Raimiman could easily resolve this by simply going to the police and reporting what happened, including giving him the body. Well, and speaking of the police, we'll be talking about them in a second. Uh, and he's struggling with school. He's still passing, but his grades are slipping. He tells Kurt Connors, aka the Lizard, don't bother considering that a spoiler because he doesn't turn into the Lizard in this movie, only in the Amazing Spider-Man reboot. He tells Kurt Connors that he's going to be doing a paper on his idol Otto Octavius. And what is Otto Octavius? He's a nice guy, admires Peter's genius, even though that's a glossed over aspect in this series, and invites him to have dinner with his wife and discuss his project. How charming. Now, here we go into our first problem. This isn't Dr. Otto Octavius, aka Dr. Octopus. This is the similar origin story of the Lizard. Clearly, the filmmakers were going to do the Lizard in this movie, but changed it to Dr. Octopus for reasons. Dr. Octopus was a brilliant man and had a fiancée, but his mom didn't approve, which led to his spat. That's a whole nother matter. But he was a brilliant scientist, but a cold-hearted one with a huge superiority complex, even before becoming a villain. Why am I bringing this up? Because it should not be difficult to bring a character's personality that you'd have to change it and take another character's personality and implement it in a said character. Character. Portraying a character properly is the key point in an adaptation. Let's move on, shall we? Because we have a whole lot of other problems besides that. So, Dr. Otto Octavius presents a fusion reactor that will provide perpetual energy for the world and controls it with his mechanical arms, which have AI for some reason, in which he used a neural chip to prevent them from controlling his brain. Even though that's not what a neural control would mean, it would actually take control of the body, not the mind. But that's nitpicking, so I'll let that part go. The bigger problem is, though, why is he attaching those arms to his body to begin with? In the comics, he did it because the arms didn't have AI, and thus he needed to use to control them mentally. Here, there's no actual reason, since they have AI. It's just a stupid plot device to set up he's going to be controlled by the arms. We're not even halfway through this movie, and we're already coming up with some plot holes. Oh God, give me strength to get through this. A few of the audience's metal objects go into the reactor, and apparently Doc Ock did not take scientific safety procedures into account, making him a much inferior character to the Lizard in The Amazing Spider-Man, since at least he considered safety protocols, and thus causing the accident that combines the arms to his body, killing his wife. Raimiman manages to save everybody, but due to Harry Osborn funding the project and the accident nearly destroying half of New York, Harry's PR goes down while his hatred for Raimiman rises. Dr. Octavius eventually loses his mind to the AI arms and becomes Dr. Octopus. And what is his goal? To do shit that the arms tell him to prove that his scientific experiment works. Where do I begin? Aside from having the AI arms once again manipulating a villain into doing things, thus robbing them of any responsibility for their actions, why is he going to do this? What's the point? Even if he proves that his experiment works, who is going to support his work? He is a villain now and a criminal. He is doing things like stealing money to fund his project and nearly destroyed half the city. Really, the moment, even if it works, the instant people find out about this, he's going to be put under arrest. Let's just get this over with. So, Raimiman tries to stop Dr. Octopus at the bank, but has to save his Aunt May, so lets him escape. Later, Peter misses another showing of Mary Sue's play, and she tells Peter how he's not being much of a friend. He's tried to say that he'll be there for her and even be her boyfriend, but she's engaged to J. Jonah Jameson's son, John Jameson. As Raimiman swings while moping, get that Tobey Maguire moping, what a shocking revelation. He's moping, his powers start to fade, and he believes he should no longer be Raimiman. I need a moment to take that in. I'll explain the stupidity of this in the next video.